As much as I got love from Oklahoma because that's where I'm originally from, I got to give Oklahoma another L. Oklahoma has presented some very interesting stories when it comes to child abuse specifically. And this one I don't think is going to be any exception. This one has no explanation. It has no rhyme or reason to it. We don't even have the child's name or face or anything. That's how weird this story is. But before we get into the details, if you've never been to my channel before we talk about this woman who literally looks like she ate a highlighter and it infected her hair, let me give you guys a disclaimer. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. And y'all know one of my favorite sources for news is lawandcrime.com, so that's where we're getting this article from, so thank you very much. The individual that you guys see on my screen, and I had to blur out this baby's face because we think this is the correct child, but we don't know it for a fact. So until I get accurate information on that, I'm going to redact the face on that child. Ashley Rowland is the person in this story. Like, it looks like she has one of those, I said it looked like she ate a highlighter. Like her face, her hair was dipped in, one of them fluorescent highlighters. That's just what it looked like to me. She is allegedly 39 years old. That is a hard 39 in the face. And I don't want y'all to feel bad for me talking bad about her, because guess what she did to her kid? She gave away her kid to a stranger, allegedly. I think she's lying, but nonetheless. She is allegedly 39 years old out of Oklahoma, and she's been arrested in connection with the disappearance of her young daughter more than 2 years ago. Why are we just finding out about this is beyond me. Allegedly giving the then 2-year-old girl to a man that was selling her drugs. It just don't get much dumber than that, right? But nonetheless, Ashley Rowland was taken into custody last week and charged with child abandonment in connection with the disappearance of her daughter, who authorities said has not been seen since 2022, Tulsa CBS affiliate KOT TV reported. Now, according to a report from the Oklahoma City ABC affiliate KOCO, which I think is Channel 4 if I'm not mistaken, agents, hold on, lost my page here. We're going to get back there. Agents with the Oklahoma Department of Human Services in April 2023 were tasked with taking custody of the toddler, but weren't able to locate this baby. The agents were able to locate and get in touch with Rowland at a residence in Moore, Oklahoma, which is located about 10 miles south of OKC. When they made contact with Rowland, she allegedly claimed that the little girl was staying at her father's home in Georgia. However, authorities said they were later able to determine that Rowland was lying about the whereabouts of her daughter and contacted the Moore Police Department. And during a subsequent interview with detectives, Rowland allegedly admitted that in April of 2022, she gave her daughter to an individual named Carlos. Some random fool drug dealer named Carlos. Carlos for drugs. Your child for drugs to Carlos, and you don't know a phone number, an address, or nothing. So you thought that little of your child. If you ask me, this is the type of shit that I believe needs a life sentence in prison if you're going to be this damn dumb. Okay? We already have children who are being stolen across the country, let alone you giving your children away, your legacy away. You're disrespecting your family, the child's father. Won't give him a chance, but you'll give Carlos a chance, right? Like, just the addiction of drugs cannot be, there ain't no drug that's that damn good. I'm sorry, it's just not. I refuse to believe it. Maybe I ain't done enough drugs, okay? Anyway, she admitted that she gave her baby away to some fool named Carlos. She further stated she believed it was possible that Carlos could be the girl's biological father, but she did not actually know. According to KOCO, that's what they reported. So here's the thing. If she thinks that's her baby dad, how does she not know how to catch up with him? Again, that's pathetic. The highest level of patheticism. Rowland allegedly said that she had not seen her child since giving her child to Carlos, who was selling her methamphetamine at the time. She's got a meth face, right? KOTV reported. She also was not able to tell investigators anything about the man except that she believed he was planning on traveling to Mexico and he did not have identification papers for the child. But this is who you had unprotected sex with. So you just sleep with anybody and just do anything, and your box is just available for anybody who got a little bit of meth. Is that the way that goes? That is, what do we call that? We got a hashtag for that. What's our hashtag for that? Let me see. Hashtag when you date hillbillies, you date death. Hashtag hoodbillies. Hashtag snowbillies. Hashtag methbillies. Yes? Police reportedly told KOTV that the child would currently be 5 years old, but they do not know if she's still in the country or whether she's even alive or not. This is a very active case we're working on diligently, the department said in a statement to the station. All leads are being investigated in relation to the location of the child, and if you have any information, please contact the Moore, Oklahoma Police Department. Oklahoma DHS reportedly told KOCO that the department cannot comment on specifics of the case, but said the entire situation was heartbreaking and unimaginable. Here's another insult to injury. Rowland is currently being held in the Oklahoma County Detention Center in lieu of a $3,000 bond. Now, I'm going to tell you Oklahoma because I'm going to be down there this weekend. I think that y'all got that wrong. If I need to go down there to the county or whoever it is that I need to talk to ask questions, I'm just curious how y'all can't provide. If you're looking for a child, a missing, lost, stolen child, you can't give us a name. You can't give us a picture. You can't give us a height. You can't give us a clothing description. You're looking for a child and it's imperative that a life is in danger, and you give us zero information about how to track this child down. No Amber Alerts, no nothing. Nothing at all. A $3,000 bond. So you're telling me that's what this child's life is worth when this child has been put in danger by her mother. It could be a life and death situation. I'd say that bond probably needs to be closer to no bond. She shouldn't have an opportunity to get out. Because guess what? $3,000, a $300 bond by anybody feeling sorry for this sad sack of crap can get her out of jail real quick. I just think that's ridiculous, and I think Oklahoma got this very wrong. Let me give you guys the fair usage, and then we'll go from there. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And ladies and gentlemen, we are live, so here's what I need y'all to do. I need y'all to hit that thumbs up, please, and share this. We need to try to reach more people. We need these stories to go viral. I need your help. We are live. Please hit that thumbs up. Leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, if you want to be able to type in the live chat, okay? Here we go. Let's take a look at the news videos. I got quite a few news videos, but let's hear what they had to say.
A 2-year-old given away by her own mother.
Police say the child was handed over to a man she was buying meth from. Now, years have gone by and nobody has seen the man or the child.
News 4's Hunter Elise is on Crime Watch with details. Hunter.
Jolene and Kevin, court papers detail how the Department of Human Services.
I mean, I hear what y'all are saying. Y'all said she should have got $1 million bond or no bond. I would say no bond, because $1 million bond, because we don't know that this child has been murdered or anything like that. That's usually when you get those $1 million bonds. But $3,000 bond just seems way too low. Let me ask y'all this. If you were to go into Walmart and go, I don't know, go steal some groceries, I guess. You think they would give you a $3,000 bond? That sounds about like what you get a $3,000 bond for. A missing child that you gave away for drugs ain't a comparable $3,000 bond if you ask me. A lot of y'all are saying no bond. She knows how to get him if she wants her meth. So here's another thing, because fentanyl is a thing that's really prevalent in the country right now, right? So if you know that you're getting meth and this man hadn't gave you no fentanyl in order to kill you or whatever the case is, so if you know that you're getting good meth from this dude, you know how to get in contact with this man. This can't be your first time doing this, right? So I agree with you, Tanea. She has to know how to get in touch with this man. Every bit of this sounds wrong, and I hope they find this baby. Let's hear what the news had to say. Let's go.
Services started looking into the case last April. After an investigation and questioning, Ashley Rowland was arrested by more police.
A child missing. Her mother, Ashley Rowland, under investigation for allegedly giving her away to a man she was buying meth from. The court papers say in April of 2022, investigators learned a child was missing. A year later, DHS got involved but couldn't find Rowland or her child. They eventually tracked her down at an address in a Moore neighborhood. Rowland told investigators her child was with her father in Georgia. Officers later found that wasn't true. When Rowland was questioned again, she gave a new explanation, this time claiming she gave her daughter, who was 2 at the time, to a man named Carlos, who she was buying drugs from. Rowland claiming Carlos was the possible father. She also admits she was on drugs and was buying drugs from Carlos when she gave her daughter to him. Court documents say Carlos told Rowland he was going back to Mexico. Now, more police are doing everything they can to find the girl, saying this is a very active case that we are working diligently on. All leads are being investigated in relation to the location of the child. DHS couldn't comment specifically on the case, but says situations like those described in this affidavit are heartbreaking and unimaginable. Like the rest of the community, Oklahoma Human Services reels in concern for this child's safety.
Ashley Rowland says she hasn't seen Carlos or her daughter since April of 2022. The little girl would be 5 now. Police were unable to share any photos with us. Rowland also couldn't tell investigators anything that would help them identify Carlos, including his last name or a good description of him.
Yeah, Abby and Jess, a judge found that Ashley Rowland needs to post a $100,000 bond on a child abandonment charge. But by the time all the paperwork was done, Rowland was already out of jail on a $3,000 bond that she was handed when she was booked. Now, one child advocate tells me it's just not good enough.
Far too many of these kids fall through the cracks.
39-year-old Ashley Rowland arrested last week for child abandonment after police say she admitted to giving her.
So y'all heard that. She got out on the $3,000 bond. I told y'all that's really not a lot at all. It's super easy to get out.
2-year-old daughter to a man selling her meth. She was released Tuesday morning after posting a $3,000 bond. But court records show on that same day, a judge ordered Rowland to post a $100,000 bond. KOCO reached out to the judge. His office says the paperwork wasn't completed in time, and now an arrest warrant will be issued. They said Rowland would have to be taken back into custody.
So $100,000 actually sounds more correct. So basically, they let her out mistakenly on a $3,000 bond, and now they're going to have to go back and rearrest her. That's just silly as hell that they got that wrong. It just don't seem like they're taking this very seriously.
Then post that higher bond he ordered. Child advocates say she shouldn't have been booked on that low of a bond in the first place.
Right.
They need to do what they can to make sure that she is detained and that she is assisting in trying to locate this child.
Court documents say Rowland told police she hasn't seen the little girl since April 2022 and that she gave the child to a man named Carlos who may be in Mexico.
After 2 years, you just don't know. And the fact that this went unreported, where were family members? Where were neighbors? Anybody who suspected this child was in danger, by law, was supposed to pick up the phone and make that call.
Documents say the investigation began in April 2023 when DHS was asked to pick up the child but couldn't find her. Now, more than 1 year later, police say they're actively searching for her and she would now be 5 years old.
If a child is missing, there need to be alerts issued. You need to issue an Amber Alert, do what you can, figure out the way to age the child from the last known photo, if there is a photo. The stories you hear on these cases, there's never a good outcome. No matter what happens, the child, if found, is going to undergo years of therapy at best.
Now, Oklahoma City Police confirmed today they are assisting the Moore Police Department with this case. Now, we've been asking the Moore Police Department for the name of that child, a photo, something to help find her. They say that they're not releasing that. Reporting live, Elise Jones, KOCO 5 News. A little girl missing for more than 2 years. Police in Moore investigating all leads to help find her. Moore police say they arrested 39-year-old Ashley Rowland last week after she admitted she gave the child to a man she was buying meth from. This affidavit claims in April 2023, DHS was asked to pick up the little girl but couldn't find her. DHS got in contact with Rowland at this house in Moore. That's when Rowland claimed the child was, quote, with her father in Georgia. DHS learned that wasn't true. The next time Rowland was interviewed by police, she admitted she gave the child away to a man named Carlos and that she hadn't seen him or the girl since April 2022. Rowland told investigators Carlos could be the child's father, but she wasn't sure. She says she doesn't know his last name or have any identifiable features for police to find him, but that he was going to Mexico. Now the people living on this street say they see children in the yard where Rowland was arrested every once in a while, but they don't really know her or the family. KOCO reached out to DHS about the case. They said they can't comment on the investigation, but the situation is heartbreaking and unimaginable, and they're grateful for those working to find her. The affidavit says that little girl would now be 5 years old. We asked Moore police if they can release the child's name or a photo to help in the search for her. They weren't able to yet. Now, Rowland is in the Oklahoma County Jail on a $3,000 bond. Reporting, Elise Jones, KOCO 5 News.
Last week about a woman who was arrested accused of giving her child away to a man she bought drugs from. Fox 25's Grant Palmer joins us live in the studio. Grant, what are the new updates in this case?
Yeah, Wendy, so the mother, Ashley Rowland, was arrested last week but posted bail just earlier this week, only to the tune of $3,000. According to court documents, it all started at these apartments in Moore in April of 2022, where it was learned that a child had not been seen in several years. A year later, the Oklahoma Department of Human Services obtained a pickup order. While they weren't able to find the child, they were able to find her mother, Ashley Rowland, at a residence off Regency Boulevard with the help of the Moore Police Department. Rowland told them that the child was with her father in Georgia, but she was interviewed again after authorities learned Rowland was lying. This time, Rowland told police she gave her daughter, who was 2 at the time, to a man she was purchasing meth from, and that she was on drugs heavily at the time she gave the child away. She identified the man as Carlos, who told her he was going back to Mexico the last time she saw him, which was in April of 2022. Last week, Rowland was booked into the Oklahoma County Jail, and authorities were working on raising her bail to $100,000. However, Rowland was able to get out before.
So basically, the judge on that Tuesday set the bond at $100,000. But by the time they had set the bond, the person had already bonded out of jail.
Opgran says this is because of what's called the bond schedule.
There's a number of crimes charges that you get booked in on have automatic bonds set. And so then if they want to raise that, they have to hold a hearing in order to raise the bond.
DHS wasn't able to speak to any specifics on this case per policy, but sent me a statement saying in part, quote, "Situations like those described in this affidavit are heartbreaking and unimaginable. The agency is grateful to our law enforcement partners for their continued work to find her and as they seek justice in her disappearance." And I spoke with Katie Sylvester, the bailiff of the special judge assigned to this case, Kevin McCrae. She tells me Rowland is due back in court January 6th for an arraignment where she will have to post $100,000 or she will remain in custody. Reporting in studio, Grant Palmer, Fox 25 News.
So here's what I'm hoping in conclusion with this story. To DHS or whoever it is down there, OKC, Moore, Oklahoma, whatever, if y'all are really trying to find this child, y'all should have found a way. There should be an emergency system to where even if y'all feel like y'all can't release the information of this child, you got to put her picture out there. They got to know who they're looking for. If they see her, they got to be able to say something. How would you know? You have no clue. Nothing to go off at all. A picture, a name, nothing. But this woman absolutely knows who has her kid. I think she's lying. And I think they need to, keep her in prison. Keep her in jail. Keep her downtown, wherever it is that they're going to put her at, until we get Carlos's name, his email address, how you catch up with this little meth dealing son of a gun, and catch up with this baby. And this woman should never have access to children. She should never have access to ovaries or semen ever again. She's a terrible person, in my opinion. And we're going to continue to advocate for justice. So stay tuned on this story. It's out of Oklahoma, so I definitely am going to hold this close to my heart until we find this child. And as soon as we get information, if you have information, the afcmatters@gmail.com. If y'all got family members or cousins or anybody of hers, if y'all have the correct information, email it to me, send it to me. I'll be more than happy to post it. But send it to me to afcmatters@gmail.com, okay? Keep that baby in your prayers. Thank you. Let's go ahead and go to story number 2. If y'all are watching, please hit that thumbs up. And yes, we are live. This is not pre-recorded. Great question. I haven't posted a pre-recorded video in a long time. So this is technically story number 2 out of 5 or 7 out of 10. However you want to look at it. Because this is a continuation from last night's live stream, okay? So if y'all are hearing me, if y'all are listening, try to do a couple things here all at one time, and we're doing really good. Trying to multitask a little bit here. So get our next story up, which is going to be, if you looked at the thumbnail, you kind of will have an idea about which story we're talking about about a little boy by the name of Jah'Meik Motlin, who was 4 years old. This boy. Okay? So I want y'all to definitely hear the details of his story. Boom. Save a couple things here. Because I'm also trying to get that young lady I was talking to earlier, get her an invoice as well for DJ services. She's got a wedding coming up. So we're going to get her taken care of. Y'all give me just a second here. Boom. Okay. So I think we'll leave that the way it is for now. Let me go back this way. Now, give me a second. Hold on. Oops. Wrong way. I gave her a quote. Hold on. Where's the quote at? Oh, right here. Dum 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 dum. Okay, that's way too much information in there. Terms and conditions. Maybe I can stick it in there. Yes. Yeah, give me a second here. Hold on. I think I'm going to leave that the way it is for now until she gets me the rest of that info. All right, let's come back to that. We'll come back to that here in a second. A $3,000 bond, is that it? So they were trying to bump it up to a $100,000 bond. I don't know what it is with Oklahoma's paper system, but please give Jay some thumbs up. Thank you, Cecilia. So Oklahoma's paper system is just really slow. It's really slow. They need to step up to the digital age, for real. They were supposed to give her a $100,000 bond, and they only gave her a $3,000 bond initially. Like, somebody would have had to look at that and say, wait a minute, for a missing child, that don't sound right. Let me give a shout out to my friend GAB in the chat. Light Too Bright. Is she still in there? If you're listening, GAB, I want to say thank you very much. I got your Cash App. So if you're listening, thank you very much. I got it. Much love. I appreciate that. So if anybody else wants to shoot some love and hit that Cash App, let me post it in here so you can find it a little bit easier. It's right there. The AFC podcast. That is the new Cash App. It's the food they're giving us. It's messing up our brains and blood. It is, but yeah, I can't blame that on people giving their kids away for meth. I just can't do it. Let's talk about this. Boy, it is just a sad day when you see parents that literally just show no regard for human life and their kids with a situation like this. I was only able to find actually obituaries of the little boy in this situation. These are the parents right here. This beautiful little baby boy right here. I want to tell y'all his story. I believe his story deserves to be heard. But before we get into the details, because I might have some choice words about the parents who caused his death, let me give you guys a disclaimer about my content. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. Now, I'm getting this story from a unique source, which is Manhattan. Let me see. How do you say this? Manhattanda.org. MANHATTANDA.org. So that's where this article is coming from. It looks like some type of government website, but it gives very detailed information as far as what's going on with this story. So instead of reading from a traditional news article, I'll read from this to kind of tell you guys a little bit of the details. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin L. Bragg Jr. today announced the indictment of two people. Let me get their faces back up on the screen. That's one of the faces. Busted face looking boy. He just looks like a murderer. Let me get both of their faces on the screen so y'all can see exactly who I'm talking about. Because that's one of them right here. That is Nytavia, Nytavia Ragsdale, very hood name, 26 years old. And LaRon Molden, Motlin, Modlin, 25 years old, which is this guy. And they were indicted for the death of their 4-year-old son by the name of Jah'Meik Motlin, Jah'Meik. Jah'Meik Motlin, again, he is 4 years old, and the abuse of their 3 other children who were ages 5, 6, and 7 years old in their Harlem apartment. So Harlem taking an L. 4 kids, and they are both 26 and 25 years old, respectively. What's up, Von Shay? How are you? Can y'all understand when I say that, ladies, it's just not a good idea in general, not all, and it don't apply to all men, not all situations. The general idea is men are not responsible enough to be fathers under the age of 30 years old. When you find somebody like some of these good men out there, or even find men that are just happen to be responsible fathers like myself, I get that you might want to ignore the statistics telling you that it's smarter to just wait until after a man is at least 30 to 35 years old before you try to procreate, have kids by him. Because number one, he should be mentally more stable and ready to have kids. Number two, men don't hit their financial stride until age 35 to 50 years old. Let me say that again. Statistically, men are much better and much stronger after the age of 35 years old financially. So if you want a man to be able to provide for their child financially, then it would make sense that you wait until after 30 years old, but definitely after 35 years old. That's a statistical fact. Men do better around that age. For this mother having 4 kids at 26 years old, too many kids, too young, and just flat out irresponsible, in my opinion. They are both charged in New York State indictment with murder in the second degree, 4 counts of assault in the first degree, manslaughter in the second degree, criminal negligence, negligent homicide, and 4 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. Now, the death of Jah'Meik Maudlin, an innocent 4-year-old child, is a tragedy and has scarred the city. That he died a slow and painful death, starving alongside his older siblings, somehow isolated in the heart of Harlem, is a stain in our collective conscience, said District Attorney Bragg. So they starved this baby to death, which is one of the most horrible things you could possibly do. Y'all catch that? Horrible. What's going on, Dippy? Good to see you. Dippy Escapes is in the building, my friend. What's going on? What's going on? They starved this baby to death. Today, his parents are indicted for allegedly killing him through extreme physical neglect and persistent abuse with depraved indifference for his life. Our Child Abuse Bureau is working diligently to secure justice for Jah'Meik and to support his 3 siblings during this immensely difficult process. Again, I want y'all to remember that the other kids are, where their ages at? I just saw them. 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, and a 4-year-old. Back to back to back to back. So here's another thing that I personally believe, and I've shared this with you guys before because I'm always trying to teach, okay? I'm always trying to teach something on here. I'm not just on here just being a jerk off trying to just say mean things. I'm trying to actually teach and get somewhere. Let me take a pause real quick and let me say thank you to those who just donated. To Judy, if you're listening, I got your Cash App. Thank you. To Anita. Anita, if you are listening, if you are in the chat, I only read your first name. Said, thanks for all that you do. I got your Cash App if you're listening. Thank you. And to, I think this is Edie J, if I'm not mistaken, or Ed. I'm not going to read your whole names because I don't want to put you out there, but I think I know who it is. Said for the AFC with the arm emoji. If you're listening, thank you very much to my guy, Ed. So anybody else who wants to donate, super easy to do that. Thank y'all for showing some love. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I always try to explain to people when it comes to having children why it is so difficult to just raise one child, let alone 2, let alone 3, let alone 4 or more. They are all individuals. They all have very, very sensitive needs, and they all need to be shown an extreme level of care. So I'm going to tell you guys, in order for me to raise my daughter when she was first born, because I was my firstborn, it took me, her mom, my dad, her mom, her grandmother, her cousins. It took all of us to come together as a village to help support my baby. Still to this day, to help raise one child. And me and her mom are pretty decent at what we do. But it took all of us and still takes all of us to raise one child. Let alone bringing in a second one who's going to have their own unique needs, then a third, and then a fourth, and then you look up and then you're just swimming in shit because it's just so much to take care of. And I continue to try to tell people, as much as y'all think, you know, it's your body, your choice, and all of that good stuff, that's wonderful. You can have as many kids as you want to, make a big family, because that's how you grew up. That's wonderful. But you know when it don't become wonderful? When people start to suffer, when you can't pay your bills, when you can't properly take care of the kids, when you can't get them proper daycare, when you can't give them proper attention, when you can't properly teach them how to read and talk and go to the bathroom, potty train them, and raise them. That's when it becomes a problem, when it starts to become everybody else's problem and they start to suffer. So then at that point, I have to question and say, you know what? Maybe the way that y'all are going about doing things is not the right way to go. You see what I'm saying? I use these stories as cautionary tales because I'm tired of watching people just bring All these dozens of kids, all of these hundreds of thousands of kids into this world with no plan for how to execute being a parent. It is overwhelming. It is hard. It's not easy. I don't know who told people. It's just easy. It's cute and wonderful to look at the little baby when they're first born. You get all this help. You get, what do they call that? The baby shower. You get diapers and formula and clothes and little outfits. And oh, it's so cute, y'all. It's cute for the first couple months until all that stuff runs out. Then reality starts to set in. Then life starts to take its foot and start shoving it right up your rear end. And what do? You just let your sexual nature just take over, and you just got to get some more dick and some more pussy, and you just like, you know what? I got to get me a nut. I got to make me another baby and have unprotected sex. And then you go make another one. And then you go make another one. And then you go make another one. And then look at where you are. Now you're in way over your heads. That's when it becomes selfish, and I cannot allow people to just keep making these choices and act like it's okay. Hashtag babies for benefits. Thank you. We got a lot of hashtags. Babies for benefits is definitely one of them. Thank you. Our Child Abuse Bureau is working diligently to secure justice for Jah'Meik and to support his 3 siblings during this immensely difficult process. If you are aware of severe neglect or abuse, please call 911 in an emergency or contact 212-335-4308. Now, according to court documents and a statement made on record in court at approximately 7:42 p.m. on October 13, 2024, this year, Motlin called 911 and stated in substance that Jah'Meik was non-responsive. Yeah, you probably wouldn't be if you're starving and beating him. Yeah, I probably wouldn't think that the child would survive that, right? But nonetheless, the child was taken to the hospital and was given end-of-life care until he died at approximately 5:50 a.m. the next morning. So this baby had to be in horrible shape. According to court documents and a statement made on record, Ragsdale and Motlin actively starved their children for approximately 2 years while purchasing food for themselves on a daily basis. Okay. So that means they're just assholes then. Flat out. Terrible people. The apartment had a working refrigerator that contained fresh produce, but it turned so that the door was facing the wall and could not be opened. Any cabinet containing food had a zip tie on the handle. One bedroom in the 3-bedroom apartment was covered in feces. Disgusting. The floor could not be seen through the amount of dirt and excrement on the floor. There was shit. They're saying there was shit on the floor. The walls were smeared with feces to the approximate height of a child. The only other items in the room were a few pieces of broken furniture as well as a mattress propped on its side and covered in feces. That is disgusting. The room was the only room in the apartment with a lock which was placed on the outside, allowing someone to lock an individual inside of the room. None of the other rooms in the house had doorknobs. Jah'Meik and his siblings were not in school, and I want y'all to keep in mind they were 4, 5, 6, and 7 years old. That's literally back to back to back. Not in school and had not seen a doctor in over 2 years. The defendants kept any family or friends from visiting in person, limiting communication to phone or video chats, continuing to isolate the children and hide each of their deteriorating conditions. At the time of his death, Jah'Meik weighed approximately 19 pounds at 4 years old. 19 pounds, less than 0% on the growth chart for a child his age. He suffered from malnutrition, dehydration, and starvation. At the time of his death, he almost had 0 body fat. That means his body was literally eating itself from the inside out. Jah'Meik and his siblings arrived at the hospital with layers of dirt on their skin and feces matted in their hair. His siblings, who remained hospitalized for malnutrition, displayed very limited fine motor skills and were incapable of holding any utensils or feeding themselves, as nutrients have been introduced to these abilities are starting to return. Assistant DA Heather Buchanan, Chief of Child Abuse Bureau, and Assistant DA Lindsey Gus are handling the prosecution of this case under the supervision of the Executive Assistant DA Justin Nabney, Chief of Special Victims Division. The charges contained in the indictment are merely allegations, and the defendants are presumed innocent unless proven guilty. All factual recitations are derived from documents filed in court and statements made on record in court. For those who want to email me and tell me that I don't have my facts right, well, maybe y'all need to email them and tell them that they got the court documents wrong, because that's literally what I read from the court documents. Now, let me give you guys the fair usage, and then I'll give y'all more about my opinion. Let's get it. And yes, we are live. Let's go. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. I just don't even, to be honest with you, as a human being, as a father, as a man, as somebody who was raised by his parents, I personally don't understand the thought process that would go into, I'm going to lock these children in a room with no food, not teach them anything. They have feces smeared everywhere. You won't clean them. You won't take care of them. You won't feed them. You starve them. You probably beat them, and you watch them die. Why put the kids through this? Why have them? I don't understand what would ever even make a person think to lock somebody in a room and starve them to death. Like, where does that mentality come from? You probably weren't treated that way. And both of them did this. If you ask me, what do y'all think? I think they need a life sentence in prison, and they do not deserve to have reproductive rights. That's what the hashtag TT on TTT means. Take the ovaries, take the testicles, because they should not have reproductive organs. All right, let's go.
Relatives of a child in Harlem who allegedly starved to death plan to sue. Prosecutors say his parents kept food from him.
Other family members claim the blame rests solely with the city. Investigator Masa Saidi is looking into whether this tragedy could have been prevented.
Officials say most of Jah'Meik Maudlin's short life was spent behind this door. Video appears to show his mother, Natavia Ragsdale, carrying him out October 13th. He was unconscious. Prosecutors say he had been starved by his mom and dad, LaRon Maudlin.
Jah'Meik's death, which included malnourishment and abuse, reflects ACS's negligence.
On Thursday, attorneys and the mother's sister, Naisha Ragsdale, announced a $40 million lawsuit against the city. In documents, they reference multiple reports to ACS. But previously, the family said one time 2 years ago, an anonymous person had filed a complaint with the city. They say ACS came to the house to investigate, then closed the case, despite the mother's request for help with mental health and domestic violence issues. How many times was ACS called? And did you ever contact ACS asking for help? And when was the last time that you saw this child?
We answered those questions already, so we're not answering again.
So Naisha never called ACS, correct?
We're getting so many different conflicting stories.
She's not here. Can she answer the question?
No.
An ACS spokesperson not answering questions either. They say due to state confidentiality laws, ACS is doing an in-depth review. The agency charged with oversight of ACS is the Office of Children and Family Services. In a statement, they tell me they'll examine the family history, any prior or current child protective investigations, but much of this will occur behind closed doors.
The state says that she did not feed her children. If that turns out to be true, in your view, should she get millions of dollars for that?
First of all, the surrogate's court will determine if damages are obtained in this case, either by settlement or trial, how that's distributed.
And Masa joins us now. This kind of thing just hurts your soul to even be discussing this, but it's important, so we must, right? So what are we going to learn about ACS's involvement here, and when are we going to actually find out?
Okay, so first I just want to acknowledge this is very, very difficult work that they do, but the agency that may ACS have done something wrong here decides when information is released, and typically they don't tell us much of anything about this, so that is the topic of our investigation tomorrow night at 11, whether something needs to change. There's a push to get ACS to be more transparent here.
Yeah, you know, when this case broke, we knew that Jah'Meik had siblings that were also in the apartment. What is the status there? Who's caring for them?
So at last check, they were hospitalized. Prosecutors say they were on an IV because they couldn't even eat food. The family is not sharing any more details about their condition, but we pray that they're okay. But the family does want everyone to come out to the funeral for little Jah'Meik Tuesday, October 29th at a church in Brooklyn. We'll have information posted on our website.
Okay, Masa, it's so important to get to the bottom of this one. Thanks so much.
Masa, thank you.
Yeah, after an all-day search, police tell us now they have ultimately been found. They are with relatives at this hour, but everyone continues to wonder how their sibling, this 4-year-old boy, could have ultimately been so hungry that he died. Miss Ragsdale, what happened to your son? With her arms and legs shackled, Nitavia Ragsdale kept her head down as she was taken to court Monday night. The mother charged by NYPD after they believe her 4-year-old son was likely starved to death.
I seen her one time go and buy chicken, and she'll eat it out here before she go back. Like, hold up, you got kids. Oh, I ain't gonna eat it up there because they're gonna be begging for it.
Erica Speed has lived next door to the family for 3 years, telling us Ragsdale has 3 other children, the oldest an 8-year-old girl, but neighbors have never seen any of them.
I never see them go to school.
Sunday night, the boy's father called 911. Medics came to their apartment on 7th Avenue and West 145th Street. Jah'Meik Modlin was very sick, according to sources, and doctors couldn't save him. A possible lethal combination of malnutrition and an undiagnosed illness.
That 4-year-old went home to be with you, Lord.
Monday evening, clergy and community activists said a prayer for the little boy.
It is a responsibility as a community to look out for each other, for all of our children.
Neighbors say the mother appeared down on her luck, never wanted to take any handouts. However, there are plenty of family resources available in Harlem.
We're available if parents need to just have a moment to download. We can help them get their child in some care.
Early Monday morning, we saw heavily armed officers rush into the home. They went to do a welfare check since police, like neighbors, were concerned for the 3 other siblings. But later in the day, they were finally located with a relative, according to sources.
At the end of the day, you're supposed to protect your...
Ragsdale is facing charges tonight of criminally negligent homicide. It's unclear if the boy's father also will be any sort of trouble. That is still under investigation in terms of his involvement. The medical examiner will ultimately rule on this little boy's cause of death. We're live in Harlem. I'm Anthony DiLorenzo, Pix 11 News.
Good evening. I'm Maurice Dubois here at 6 now. It's been more than a week since the tragic death of a 4-year-old in Harlem, and police say it happened at the hands of his parents. Today, for the first time, we're hearing from the family of the little boy's mother. And as Lisa Rosner reports, they say domestic violence issues were reported multiple times and nothing was done.
Outside the Administration for Children's Services headquarters in Bed-Stuy, the family of Nitavia Ragsdale came to her defense. The 26-year-old mom is in jail on charges of second-degree manslaughter in the death of her 4-year-old son, Jah'Meik Modlin. Prosecutors say last weekend he was found unresponsive in his Harlem apartment and weighed only 19 pounds when he died a short time later.
Yesterday, I've spoken to Nitavia at length in Rikers Island. She called ACS, spoke to the social workers, spoke to the Department of Education about the domestic violence that she was going through in her home.
Modlin's father, 25-year-old LaRon Modlin, was also arraigned last week on charges of manslaughter and endangering the welfare of a child. Prosecutors say the couple's 3 other children, ages 5, 6, and 7, were found in their Harlem home malnourished and have been hospitalized for about a week now. They were not enrolled in school.
The family was not aware of the circumstances within the household.
Last week they saw the kids on FaceTime, but FaceTime was very quickly, so they showed them from the top up.
Police sources say ACS previously investigated allegations of mistreatment of the 4-year-old, but the investigation was unfounded. An ACS spokesperson says state confidentiality laws don't allow the agency to share case specifics, adding in part, "We continuously assess our work, including through an in-depth review of this case, so we can identify opportunities to strengthen our policies, practices, and services."
We are calling on Attorney General James to do a thorough investigation, because we don't have faith in the fatality review.
The New York State Attorney General did not get back to us. We also contacted the lawyer for the children's paternal grandmother, who is trying to gain custody of the children. He did not get back to us either. In Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, Lisa Rosner, CBS News, New York.
Well, Aaron and Candace, this is a case that has shocked the entire city. And now, as the family is preparing for a funeral, they're seeking accountability. They're demanding an independent investigation. As well, they're filing a multi-million-dollar legal action against the city.
We have filed a notice of claim for $40 million in damages for a death which never should have happened if ACS was doing its job.
Family members of 4-year-old Jah'Meik claimed the city's Administration of Children's Services failed the little boy, who died after being found unconscious in his Harlem apartment. Weighing only 19 pounds, he died of starvation and dehydration.
He was a wonderful kid. He played, he laughed, he smiled. It was him and his siblings.
The boy's mother, Nitavia Ragsdale, is in police custody charged with criminally negligent homicide.
I know this video was a little low. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. And thank y'all for welcoming people who are here. If y'all would do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up, please, please, please. So you caught a live trial, just ended. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate that. Thank you. So I got y'all live chat on the screen there. But thank y'all. If y'all would please hit that thumbs up to share these videos. And let me know if you can hear this or if you can't.
As is the boy's father, LaRon Modlin. 3 siblings, all under the age of 7, are still hospitalized, being treated for malnutrition. ACS claims it previously investigated the parents who
says second-degree manslaughter, so correct me if I'm wrong, but she would only face under 10 years. That's the thing about it. That's why they need to try to get the stronger charges, but they have to be qualified charges. So the thing is you don't want to charge somebody and then they be able to get it overturned because they're just like, wait a minute, this doesn't qualify for this. So you want to try to get the appropriate charges. But I think because this was torture and they knew about it, you could probably get a murder charge pretty solid on that. Because you knew about it, that's premeditated. That should be a murder charge. That should be a life sentence at best.
Allegedly locked food in kitchen cabinets in a home described as a house of horrors.
Despite prior allegations of abuse and a prior investigation, ACS failed to intervene, which allowed Jah'Meik to be in a dangerous environment. Jah'Meik's death, which included malnourishment and abuse, reflects ACS's negligence in providing protection for children under its care.
ACS says although it did look into complaints, it found no evidence of abuse. The family is demanding answers.
And just to be clear, this is not about money. It's about justice. We want to make sure that justice is rendered in those.
Natavia Ragsdale could not hold her head up at times in court. She now faces new charges, including murder in the second degree, in connection to the death of her 4-year-old son, Jah'Meik Modlin. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg was also in court as prosecutors outlined how the toddler died in unimaginable conditions.
DA Bragg, any reaction to the charges being upgraded against his mother?
Was here to support our team, and the circumstances here are quite tragic, and we'll continue to litigate in court
Last month, police arrested Ragsdale and the father of the children, LaRon Modlin, in a case that rocked their Harlem neighborhood and the city. The death of the toddler and allegations of abuse of the couple's 3 other young children are raising questions about what went wrong, whether or not the Administration for Children's Services dropped the ball. In court, prosecutors upgrading the charges described horrid conditions the children were allegedly living in, locked in a room covered with feces on the wall. The children were not in school, had not seen a doctor in 2 years. Little Jah'Meik suffered from malnutrition, dehydration, and starvation. At the time of his death, he had almost no body fat, and prosecutors say his body went into survival mode before shutting down. Ragsdale sat still and stoic in court, hearing how her other children are still in a hospital, doing better, but are having a hard time with fine motor skills, unable to feed themselves at ages 5, 6, and 7.
In that courtroom, the homicide of a 4-year-old, and I just left another courtroom of domestic violence homicide. That's where my focus is. Thank you.
Ragsdale will remain behind bars until her next court date. That's set for December 18th. And with these new upgraded charges, if convicted, she could face anywhere from 25 years to life in prison.
And that sounds closer to correct, because that is murder. That is intentional, right? That is intent. You said if she didn't want the kids, she said gave them to somebody who did. Here's the thing. If she knew that she couldn't take care of one kid, and I could almost guarantee y'all, these pea-brain ass people couldn't take care of one kid when they had it. And you had within that small time frame, that 9 months, I'm pretty sure they were broke. When she finally gave birth, they knew they didn't have no way to provide for these kids. It wasn't all peaches and cream. Then they turned around and had another, and then another. And you're talking about 9 months after 9 months after 9 months after 9 months. And they just kept doing it. With all the contraceptives there are, with all the plan Bs, with maybe even just stop having sex if you just ain't prepared to be a parent. That's what goes with this. That is the basic thing that we all know as sentient human beings. This is a clear case of babies for benefits, because I can almost guarantee y'all that this place that they were living in was probably Section 8, probably paid for by way of those kids. That is my opinion. I am assuming, but that's what it sounds like to me. I hope the other 3 kids are able to grow up and become something great in the care of someone else, maybe even other family members who actually give a damn. But these people, absolutely, both of them should get a life sentence. They knew what they was doing, and they caused these. They were trying to actually kill all these kids, in my opinion. They should never get an opportunity to see the light of day again. Let's get justice for those babies, okay? Jah'Meik, I want to call him Jah'Meik, but Jah'Meik Modlin, young prince, R.I.P. And to these, like I said, I love to see them get a life sentence, period. Thank you guys for listening to the story. If there's any more to report, it's more information comes out, we'll report it, but that's quite a bit. We have enough disturbing information about this. So I'll probably just do a final sentencing. That'll be about it on this story, okay? Thank you.